Hey everyone, this is Selling on Giants, the e-commerce marketplace show where we get the latest experts in the e-commerce industry and we talk about the latest insights, strategies, and best practices for going on e-commerce marketplaces. I'm your host, Victor Dwyer, and today our guest is Rob Stanley, Chief Evangelist at Getita, specializing in Amazon FBA and reimbursements and refunds. Rob is an experienced entrepreneur and former founder of a 2-7 online e-commerce brands, boasting over 20 years of marketing experience. He's also a successful podcaster, a China source expert, and a YouTube certified with an impressive 48 million views to his name. Before we dive into how to use YouTube to drive sales to your site, Rob, please give us a little intro about yourself and what you're currently working on.
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of my past right there. So,
A lot of numbers.
There's a lot of numbers there. Yeah, just to kind of summarize that, basically, I've been selling online for over 20 years, both online and also on Amazon, which Amazon I started doing in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and exited from both of those, the online business and the Amazon business in 2018. At that point, I basically took some time off, retired for a little while, and then jumped back into the service provider side. A lot of you may probably already know, I used to work for Feedback Wiz for a couple of years as CMO, and then made a transition a few years back. Actually, it's been just a little over 2 years.
Wow.
That I've been with Getita now. It started as chief marketing officer and then just recently changed to chief evangelist, which is probably more in line. I'm out there just basically at all the conferences, shows, podcasts, basically telling everybody about Getita, helping all the Amazon FBA sellers with refunds, reimbursements. A lot of times they don't even know about that, but we can go to that in a different time. So
yeah, I feel like you were there so much longer than 2 years. It feels like you were there for like at least 5. I don't know why. When I think of like going back, I was like, it's only been 2 years since you joined Getita. That seems so crazy to me because I feel like I've known you forever and it's always been Getita. So that's really interesting. Time flies.
The funny thing for me is it hasn't felt like 2 years. Like it felt like I barely got through a year already. So,
Oh, really? That's so funny.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. But I've
So
been
yeah,
on the
like,
service provider side for a little over 4 years now. So,
oh, really?
I made that
Wow.
leap. Yes. It's probably because you've seen me so much in the last 4 years, basically, because
Yeah,
we run
yeah,
into
it's
each other
really
all
hard
the
to
time.
go anywhere without seeing your Rob, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. That is a good thing.
And like
Absolutely.
starting out, like YouTube is probably known as a platform for video content, but how can it be efficiently utilized to generate sales for websites? Love to start out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things I tell everybody is people, when they're looking to buy, they go to Amazon to look to buy a product, right? So they search there, they find the product, they buy it. Now, don't get me wrong. Usually you have images, shows features, probably even a video. I mean, nowadays, if you don't have a video in your Amazon listing, I don't know where you're at, but probably
Yeah,
not doing well. But, it's just
yeah,
one of those things that, Amazon's buyers, they go there and they buy their items off Amazon. Now, once they get that item, let's say they want to research the company or more about the product. Maybe they need to figure out how to put a battery or how a certain feature works on it. In that case, they're not going to get that information from the Amazon listing. You're limited on what you could do within that Amazon listing, within that video that you have on there, within the images. So a lot of times, especially if they're going to find out about your brand, they're going to Google it, right? So one of the things that you want to do is kind of own that Google page, right? When they search your brand or your product.
yeah,
And one of the ways of doing that is with YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it. We can go into those later, things like making sure you have your own website that, talks about your company and maybe has information on how to contact you, things like that. But another way to do that is obviously own all the social media with your name. And one of those social media is YouTube. And another way is that if they're searching a particular issue or how to about your actual product, it'd be great if you had that video already done showing them how to replace a battery on a remote control, like a universal remote or something, right? Or how to, hey, be sure you unscrew this and take out this tab before you use our product. So when people are
yeah,
searching that on Google, you want to own that and you want to own that page. And specifically, obviously, YouTube is owned by Google. So they're going to trust the videos, right? And especially if you keyword the videos correctly, which we'll dive into a little more on, like some basically correct ways to do the videos, for SEO purposes. But the whole purpose being that basically when you are searching for a product or a brand, YouTube video comes up, which allows people to learn more about it. And then on the reverse of that is, let's say if you SEO that title correctly, people maybe that are searching prior to buying, even though we know they're probably going to go to Amazon, just in case, right? You want to hit that
Mhm.
percentage that's still searching on Google. They may come and see your video, look at the video. And then, of course, when you're in YouTube, there's no terms of service or rules on YouTube in the sense of putting a link in the description or telling people to go search it on Amazon or putting a link right to it. There's nothing that says that. In
Yeah.
fact, Amazon likes that. That's driving out external traffic to your Amazon listing, and Amazon
Yeah.
likes that. They would actually not rather that happen, but they like the fact that it's happening. And not just YouTube. I mean, we can go to whole different places you should be doing external traffic from, but YouTube seems to be one of the best. I just to give you guys a background, I've shared this before on many podcasts, but I was the biggest seller of iPhone parts in the United States at one point. And in 2007, when the iPhone first came out, I posted a video on how to take apart the iPhone. It was the very first one ever posted on YouTube. I guess that's what makes me famous. And what I did was basically use the how-to videos to drive traffic to my, at that time it wasn't Amazon, but to my website. And basically what happened is we just saw that we were posting these how-to videos, didn't even have technically the items to repair it yet, but we're posting these videos and people are just driving to the website like crazy. And then we're picking up all this extra like sales though, because at that time we didn't have the part, but they had this other device we have a part for. So they bought some or they told a friend about it. And of course our rank, started going through the roof on Google. So we started utilizing that by making more and more videos and basically putting them out there for free. And then, hey, you can get the part of our website. Use that same scenario, right? Do videos about your products, how they can be used, real life situations, how to replace the battery. We already kind of talked about. Put those out there, SEO correctly, the titles and the description on those, and people will come and watch those. And then they'll drive over to Amazon, to your listing on Amazon and buy the product or vice versa. Now they're going to come after they bought it. They're going to learn more about it. Probably keep your negative reviews down, right? If you have a video that basically
Mhm.
shows you how to do something, especially if it's a sticky point, right? Like I remember we were selling this, I think it was like an LED light of some sort, and you had to unscrew it and take the tab out, right? In order for the batteries to make the connection. And it unfortunately wasn't one of those situations because it was like waterproof that you
Mhm.
could have the tab where you just pull it out and it starts working. You had to physically unscrew it, take this little plastic disc out, super thin, and then the battery makes connection and starts working. But a lot of people didn't understand they had to do that. Even though we included a little manual that said you
Mhm.
had to do it, it's just so much easier for people to watch videos, right? I mean, we watch
Yeah.
videos for everything. The truth of the matter is, I watch videos for anything that I get stuck on. I
Yeah.
just had to rebuild my computer recently, right? And I was like, I'm actually a former IT guy, but that was a long time ago. And I'm like, okay, I know there's a way I could reset this Windows, I think it's Windows 11, back to a factory and get this going in. There's a way to do it with that. So, anyways, long story short, I Googled it. I went and found basically a YouTube video that stepped me through how to do it, watched the whole thing, did it all the way through. Boom, my computer's working good as new.
Mhm.
So, everybody utilizes YouTube. It's just a matter of utilizing it to work in your favor to drive that
Mhm.
traffic to your Amazon listing to be able to
Yeah.
make some extra money. And just to kind of add a little extra to that, when I was talking about earlier, driving that traffic to my actual website, I mean, we were doing about 100,000 a month in extra sales just coming from YouTube, which is
Wow.
free. So, I mean, it's free other than your time, right? But realistically, as an entrepreneur, your time, if you could spend time to make extra money, you're going to do it. So,
Yeah. And like for these business owners, they probably know that they need to be on YouTube at some level. But what's the best way to kind of get started with the YouTube game? Is it working with influencers? What's the best way to kind of get started in this whole like YouTube game in general?
yeah, the easiest way I would usually suggest before you go to the influencer route, which we'll definitely cover that a little bit. First thing I suggest is take that video you already made that's on your Amazon product page. Take that YouTube video, put it over on YouTube, create a YouTube channel, fill everything in. Don't just throw the channel up, no image on there, no
Mhm.
name on it. You haven't done anything to it. Treat it like a listing, right? That's what I would do is treat it somewhat like a listing. Go make sure it has the proper descriptions, the about us, the video in there, put a correct title, description of the video, and of course, put like a header image at the top, kind of like you would do in any social media platform, Facebook
Mhm.
groups, things like that. You always have like an image at the top. So go build that out. And once you get that going, take the videos. If you have 10, 20 products, probably you have 10 or 20 videos. Go put those videos or reutilize those videos you already made and put them up on your YouTube channel just to get that going. The idea is you need to build up, and I may not be perfect on these numbers, it's been a little while, but I think in order for you to have a unique URL for your YouTube channel, you have to have, I think, at least 100 subscribers on there. So
Mm.
what that allows you to do is basically when you start your first YouTube channel, it's going to be youtube.com/ABCXYZ with a bunch of weird numbers and letters in there. And, that's basically what they do to assign it. Once you have 100 subscribers, you're able to change that. For instance, right now we have youtube.com/Gatita, right? If you type in youtube.com/Gatita, it'll take you to Gatita's YouTube channel. And you want to own that because that allows Google, when it's actually indexing your YouTube, to start indexing it using that name, that basically name that's associated to your channel. And you also get to start owning the hashtag within YouTube of that. So that's the easiest way to start, is just go do it yourself, take your existing videos, put them up there, and then optimize it just like you would do a Amazon product page.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's if someone already has a video on their Amazon listing. What would you recommend someone that doesn't have that? I know it's 2023, but there's still people out there without a
Yeah.
video, which is scary to think about. So, what would you recommend to someone that it has a new product, new everything, that doesn't have any video? How would you recommend them create the video and get more of that video content for their product?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you could do it a couple ways. We'll start with kind of a basic, a medium, and an advanced, right? So, a basic would be, even if you took your product and just used even your phone on like a tripod or something like that and put it on a turntable that turns, that could be one little clip of the video. Then maybe another is you using a certain feature on it or showing somebody how to do it. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to talk at any time. Like, you could always put the words on the screen if you're not comfortable talking. Even something as basic as that, just so people see a 360-degree view of that product and understand it,
Mhm.
or they show you holding it and using it, maybe depending on the product. There's so many scenarios to this, but just do something very basic. It doesn't need to be long. In fact,
Mhm.
actually, it's probably better if it's under 2 minutes, to be honest, and even a minute. Heck, if you have 45 seconds worth of really good just understanding of that product, that's fine too. I'd probably go for that 1 to 2 minute range. Now, for
Mhm.
somebody that's looking to do a medium level, let's say you understand how to shoot videos a little better, you can still use your iPhone. iPhones, and
Mhm.
when I say iPhone, I mean cell phones, right? All cell phones shoot at a pretty good quality nowadays. I think they go up to 4K. So, do you need to go 4K? I would just start with HD, really, for right now. Put it on,
Mhm.
go get a tripod stand. If it's a product you need to hold and kind of demonstrate, a lot of people get weird, right? They're like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I get it. All my videos, by the way, just to kind of reference back, all those videos that I did of how to take apart iPhones and all that stuff, you only see my hands. That's it. These are the most famous 48 million view hands ever. So I
Hand
completely
model.
understand. Exactly. Yeah, not these, trust me. But anyways, look at just either get a friend to do it if you're uncomfortable, have somebody in your family do it for you, or do it yourself, right? It's okay. Lighting's a big thing. Work on your lighting. Make sure you have really good lighting. Go outside for natural lighting if you can do it outside. If you're
Yeah.
inside, make sure you have some good lighting. Also, make sure it's lighting that's not reflective. Like, if you notice, my glasses don't have reflections because I
Mm.
mute the lighting. Took me a long time to get this set up. Anyways, point being is now you can talk about the items, learn how to edit a little bit on the phone or on a computer. Now you have a little bit better quality video, right? Advanced, now you're shooting with either, you can still technically do advanced with your phone. Now you're going to do something that's a little bit more dramatic, right? A lot of advanced actually is more like editing. Editing is really advanced. I'm not going to get
Mhm.
into all the video editors. There's a ton of them out there. Mac's got one built in. Windows have a bunch of them available. But advanced, you're going to do a lot more different angles. You're going to show a lot more. You're going to talk about it. And the reason you're going to do all that is you're going to cut it into a really nice 2 minute video, 1.5, heck, maybe even 3, depending on the product. You're also going to probably show it being used. If it's, let's say, anything that's like a camping type item, you're going to show, hey, we went camping with this. Here's how we used it when camping, things like that. And that is actually a great way to kind of do a really advanced video. So those are the
Yeah.
kind of the three. The basic, just shoot something. The medium is shoot something, but try to add a little extra to it. You talking about it, and then more advanced is really go deep on the features and how it's being used and lifestyle type images in the video.
Yeah. And that's if someone had the time to actually go through and edit and film all these things. What would you
Yeah.
say to the person, the entrepreneur that has already lots of products and doesn't want to worry about doing the editing and doing the video editing on top of that? Would you recommend influencers, a video team? What do you recommend there?
Yeah, so you go kind of two ways on that, right? There is services out there that'll shoot a video for you, which is also a video you could put up on your YouTube product listing. So that's one way you could go. And then you could obviously, since you own the video after they get done with it, you could utilize that over on your YouTube. Then the next way would be if you really have a high-end product and you're making a lot of margin on this, you could do, I know that there's studio type production out there where you would ship your product in, but you do have to give them guidance, right? Like they need to understand how to use your product, whatever it is, right? Like if it's the camping thing, they may go out to a camping setting. They need to understand how this product works. If it's something as simple as like a pan for camping over a fire, I mean, that's a no brainer, but you got to make sure they understand the features. That's probably going to involve quite a few Zoom type calls or things to kind of make sure they get what your product does and all the features. Also, wording, be
Mhm.
careful on the wording, right? You don't want them, maybe I would even send them a script or here's the highlights of the features. Use these keywords so that way they don't mess it up because you don't want to get back this great production video you paid a lot of money for and have them say the wrong term when they be using a different term, right?
Yeah,
Influencers, to be honest, I would already have my YouTube channel already done and some videos up there before I'd even think about using influencers.
interesting.
Most influencers, so it's going to go a couple ways. Either going to send them a product and they'll do it for the price of the product, depending if it's an expensive product, and make sure that their niche is in that area, right? Like I'm not going to go to somebody who's cooking if I'm selling tents and stuff, and that's my target. I might
Yeah.
go to people that are a Jeep club or maybe, that do camping type videos. Heck, there's even ways to search for influencers on YouTube within a certain category. And then you can always go to them and see, have they done a video on that particular item or similar to one you have? And if they haven't, you can reach out to them because, they already know what they're doing. They already know what to do in that space. But if you have to pay them, you're going to end up sending them the product. You're going to pay them. You're still going to want to have a script, show them how to do it. What I'm getting at is though, once they do that, they're going to put that on their channel. They are going to basically own that content, which is good in one way, right? You want it to go out to their audience and for them to drive traffic or drive sales to your website or to your Amazon listing and try to get you more sales. And you could do that a couple different ways with either a rev share or you just pay them flat. It depends how they all work. They all work differently. But the point being that you just basically, they created content and they're keeping the content. So from now on, for years from now, that content's going to remain on their channel. Now you could
Yeah.
ask about basically doing a split, meaning that, hey, after 30 days of you having it on your channel, I'm going to be allowed to also put it on my channel. You are not going to get revenue from that, or maybe they will. So, but a lot of times you really are doing it more to get their traffic to come check out your product, your brand, or buy from your Amazon store.
Do you have any best practices for that? Like you mentioned a few options, but what would you kind of recommend for a normal brand? Like saying that, hey, working with an influencer, also posting it to your website. You mentioned a lot of different things. What would you
Yeah.
recommend out of those options that you gave?
Yeah. So just to kind of narrow it down a little more for influencers, don't go to the giant influencers first, right? The ones that are, got thousands of views. I'd really look for somebody who's a niche in the space, really has a clear passion for that space.
Mhm.
And maybe they only get 100 views a video, but you know what? Those are the type of people that are going to probably do it for just for you sending them the product. And they're going to probably put a lot behind it because it helps create content for them, right? And it helps build their channel up. Go find 10 of those people. Now, obviously,
Mhm.
if you're selling like $1,000 product, it's hard to give away, 10 of those. But odds are, we all know that average range is $30, $40, that most Amazon sellers are selling. And really,
Mhm.
your cost is probably around $10, right? So ship
Yeah.
out 10, 20 of these things or something like that, and basically have them do videos on it and work with
Mhm.
them. I wouldn't go to these big ones right off the get go. Even if you're a big brand and you're making a lot of money, I'm not sure I would start with them. I would start with the smaller ones because it's also a way to learn what is driving sales, what is not, how did they do it? Maybe you could utilize that when you do go to the bigger ones. Hey, this worked, this didn't. So that would be what I would do. That's some best
Mhm.
practice as far as like influencer wise. Was there a more specific like thing you were looking for other than the
Yeah,
influencer
like
side?
when it comes
Go
down
ahead.
to I feel like the biggest hurdle for people not starting this YouTube channel is the video content side. So I
Yeah.
love for you to go into like possibly like creating almost a content flywheel system. Like what are the best ways to constantly get new and new content? Is it through working through influencers? Is it like having a monthly video session with a videographer? Like what's the best way to kind of scale this content? Because we know consistency on these
Yeah.
YouTube platforms is super important. So I'd love to hear about how to like scale the content and create regular postings of content. Is it working with influencers? Is it constant video productions? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both, right? It's a mix of
Mhm.
you putting out your content or having content put out for you via an influencer and you also doing it yourself, right? So think about it this way. A good example is, if you have this really cool camping stuff, right? Let's just stick with that theme to make it easier. And maybe it's got a bunch of different features on it. I would shoot a video for each of those features. Besides shooting a video of the whole overall how to use it and mentioning each feature, I would go in and make a video of each individual feature. And
Mhm.
so there you go. Now all of a sudden you went from one overall whole video
Mhm.
to, if it has 5 features, you got 5 more videos. Okay. I probably wouldn't release those videos other than one a week. Right. So now you got
Mhm.
6 weeks of content. Now, maybe, if it's a camping stove, maybe now you're saying, hey, check it out. We paired it with this nonstick pan. Right. And maybe you sell that. Even if you don't, here's how we use the stove to make a really cool, it'd probably be actually cool if you're camping a lot of times desserts, right? If you could make some sort of dessert on your stovetop, that'd be cool, right? So go
Mhm.
make it. Even if it's outside in your backyard, it doesn't have to necessarily be camping, right? But it just shows you're outside and you're doing it and you're using it. How to use it. There's another video, right? And you could do probably 10 of those, right? You could do 10 different ones on how to cook this, how to cook that, how to clean it, how to store it, what to do to store it. Now there's content, content, content. Now you've built up this library of different content that you can do. Now you're also working with these influencers, giving them information, starting with these niche type ones, building up to the bigger ones. So now you
Mhm.
got content, content, content going out, and that's building up your library of videos. The other thing, got to throw it out there, go to ChatGPT, ask it to
Yeah.
literally tell you what videos
Mhm.
to make, how long you want to make them, write the script for it. I'm a huge ChatGPT fan. I've been on it for probably almost 9-10 months now. I was on it way
Wow.
before everybody was talking about it. I was using OpenAI, Dolly for a lot of stuff back in the day. Actually, it's probably been close to almost a year I've been doing Dolly, and then ChatGPT came along. I jumped on there, still use it every day. Every day I use ChatGPT
Wow.
for
That's
marketing and for
amazing.
video. So I 100% recommend, if you get in a cluster or you're just kind of brain stop and you're just like, hey, what else can I make videos on? Go to ChatGPT, explain what your product is, ask it to create a bunch of content for you or how the content will be. It'll even start creating titles for that. It'll create descriptions for the video. It'll tell you how long. It'll give you a script. You can give those scripts to influencers. I mean, we can go down that whole AI route. There's a lot we can do over there. So
Yeah, just starting out. So you talked about a lot of details when it comes down to that. What would be the best way to use AI to getting started in the video game when it comes down to creating YouTube videos? You talked about some content ideas, maybe some AI tools that might help you create the content, like Midjourney. Is there
yep.
anything else that can really help scale the content side for the YouTube videos?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple different ways you can use AI to help you make videos that you could actually start posting. There's ones, of course, that will do kind of the sort of Fiverr look, right? And I'm not saying go make a whole bunch of the Fiverr ones, right? But you could always place those in there if you're running out of content ideas, and use Fiverr sort of look along with a mix of real videos that are the actual item, or maybe you're interchanging some of the Fiverr look with actual images of your product or videos cut in. And of course, I would also, by the way, just not to get off subject a little bit, but I'll come back around to it, is all those videos need to be reutilized as shorts, reels, TikTok. So now you want to spread those across all those social media platforms. Sorry, I'll loop
Yeah.
back around to what we were talking about with the AI stuff, though. So go check out really cool AI. I haven't been able to dive really deep into it, but there's one called Booth.ai, BOOTH.ai. Now, what this allows you to do is take your product, it'll isolate your product and start putting it into lifestyles images. Okay.
Wow.
So it's not always going to be perfect, right? But check it out, try it out. And maybe you could take some of that along, maybe with some Mid-Journey stuff, along with, some of these other stuff and create a video right from those. I personally have used Canva to do video editing. I've used Canva to make videos. Canva is a kind of a cheap alternative to using like a Photoshop or something like that. Or Adobe, I should say, like Elements to turn around and do video editing. Canva does video editing, especially if you're only doing a couple minutes. There's also some other free AI ones out there that'll help you. I
Mhm.
haven't had a chance to really experiment, but I heard there are some that if you give the AI program like a script, it'll actually create a video off of it. Haven't had a
Hmm.
chance to play around with it, but some of the ones I've seen from it, it's not that great yet. It'll get there. So
Yeah. Are you an online seller struggling to navigate the complexities of marketplace management? Let Bellavix help. Our dedicated team of professionals are passionate, innovative, and committed to excellence to growing your brand on marketplaces. With Bellavix, you can trust your brand will receive personalized support and expertise that will help you stand out from the competition. We understand that every brand is unique, which is why we tailor our approach to fit your specific needs. So if you're ready to take the brand to the next level on marketplaces, contact Bellavix today. Let us help you achieve your goals to grow your brand. And let's go into cutting some clips. So now you're a brand, you have the videos, you're working with some influencer content, you've got your own listings, you're set up with the YouTube content. Now let's dive into like cutting those clips up for YouTube Shorts, like cutting
Yep.
that up for TikTok, like and things like that. What are the best practices for taking that YouTube content and creating it into shorts?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things you want to do, and there is a couple AI programs that'll take your video, put it in the right format for a TikTok, for Reels, for things like that. So just some parameters on that. You're going to want to find the best 2 minutes or less of a section of your video. Okay. And it has to be vertical format. So kind of like you would shoot on your iPhone, on your cell phone, has to be in that vertical format. You have to turn around and basically keep it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could get these numbers a little bit wrong, but I think it has to at least be more than 20 seconds, but less than 2 minutes. And think about it this way. If anybody has been on TikTok or been on Instagram or any of these, I mean, I'm on Instagram all the time. I'm scrolling until I see something I like, right? And then it's like, I don't want to watch 2 minutes of somebody talking about it. Now,
Yeah.
Victor knows this because I've seen Victor on Instagram. I've seen
Yeah.
his post. He knows what he's doing, right? So, and the key to being that, give him the information quickly and try to probably really, I've kind of seen like 30, 40 seconds is that sort of sweet spot, right? Which is also probably my attention span. Like I'll see Victor come up. I've always stopped to watch his real quick. And
Thank
then
you.
if he doesn't get to the point, though, I'm going to move on. So,
Yep.
and he does, though. You do a good job at that. And our marketing team also does the same thing, right? Like, unless it's something that it needs to dive deep, but if it's regarding your product, it's probably going to be 30, 40-second clip. Utilize it. Make sure there's text on the screen. A lot of people still watch on their phones without the volume on. I do it also. I'm sitting there watching TV. My wife's next to me. I don't want to bug her, right? So I'm just kind of reading what's on the screen. So make sure there's text on there. There is programs to help with that, some AI.
Yeah.
But yeah, just utilize your content. Find a couple of tools that will allow you to kind of format it in that size, keep it within that 30, 40-second range. And yeah, you can start blasting that content out also.
And what I've noticed is even starting the conversation halfway when it comes to cutting these clips, because
Yep.
they really don't need that much context. For example, we could be talking about launching a product on Amazon and they don't need a lot of context. If you just like put some random text at the top saying how to launch a product on Amazon, you could start it from the very middle of the conversation where it's just the value part. And I've noticed that works a lot better because people really don't need this like long explanation or like hear this long question or anything else like that. Like if you just put that same text on the screen, they can read it. It takes like half a second to read, and then they go right into the content. And that's
Yep.
the value piece that I've seen that works a lot better when it comes to creating these short clips. So that's another thing, like starting the conversation halfway sometimes works a lot better. So don't be afraid to
Absolutely.
kind of start that out like that.
Yeah, it definitely does, because especially if you know that sweet spot of them giving what's related to that title or some good information is within that, let's say, 10, 20 seconds into the video, but you've already told them this is what it's going to be about by having that sort of a title at the top, right? Like something catchy there. And then you can always cut in. I've done it too. I definitely cut in. I want to find where is that sweet spot, move that sweet spot of what they're going to be talking about into that probably 15 to 20-second range. So they're watching a little bit of it and then they're catching that sweet spot, and then they're probably going to swipe on after they hear what it's about. So yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And another thing I wanted to touch on, is there anything else when it comes down to either creating the YouTube content, putting it into shorts, and making sure you do get more views and things like that? How long do you think that process will take to really start generating sales? Because I think that's going to be a common question for a lot of people is you start creating your YouTube content and they're going to say, okay, what's the ROI of working on this for 5 months, 6 months on this?
Yeah.
And what would you kind of recommend? I know it's going to be different for everyone, but what would be a good estimate of how long this takes and what are the expected sales?
Yeah, it's going to vary so much, right? It's going
Yeah.
to it's going to depend on the content. Like if somebody's making videos of their product spinning around on a table or something like that, you're not going to get as much interaction. People aren't going to necessarily click on it. You're not going to get the views that you're expecting on YouTube or Google searches, right?
Mhm.
It's just like anything. It's like, think of it kind of in the whole realm of like trying to get your product listing to the top on Amazon, right? The
Yeah.
more SEO, the more traffic that's coming to it, the more popular it's getting, it starts pushing it up that page, right? Same thing
Mhm.
with your videos. The better the content that's on there, the more views it gets, the more it gets shared, the more that people watch it. It pushes it up that YouTube search. It pushes it up on the Google. Like, you don't expect that video to just instantly show up. Now, it can, don't get me wrong, it can show up in Google search. It really comes down to SEOing. So I'll give you guys
Mhm.
a tip to help with SEO for your titles and descriptions on YouTube. Go check out a company called TubeBuddy. There's another one called vidIQ. I've already done the A/B comparison. Go with TubeBuddy. I don't
And
get
how do you spell
anything
that?
from this. So it's
Tube
TubeBuddy. So
Buddy.
TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy. So TubeBuddy. I've been using them for years. Go check them out. I think they might even have a free version if you have under a certain amount of subscribers, or maybe it's like $4 a month or something like that.
Mhm.
It's super cheap. I think there's a free. Try the free version first. Check it out. Understand how it works, and basically kind of get going with that. Just to go over it real quickly, because I don't want to dive into TubeBuddy really deep on this, but it's going to
Mhm.
help you with the length of your title. It actually has AI built into it. If you go with some of the upper paid versions, it actually has AI and it'll start suggesting titles for you over on the right. So I can take my current title and it'll take it and give me a bunch of different ones, start ranking those and telling me this title is actually going to rank better than that. Then in the
Mm.
description, it's going to help you with like proper, basically SEO things to kind of follow to get the best out of it. It's going to help you with tags. Think of tags kind of like keywords, right? Like PPC keywords, but they're free within your video. It's going to help
Mhm.
you with thumbnails. Thumbnails are really important. So again, not to go deep into this, but if you really want to know SEO and you really want to know or understand SEO on YouTube, TubeBuddy's going to be the like fastest way to get there and help you with all those different elements within your video to help it be successful. So to get back to your question, it
Mhm.
will vary. If you're creating good content and people are watching it and it's being viewed, there's no reason you couldn't start getting sales within the first week. I mean, if
Mhm.
you get it going correctly, maybe even the first 24 hours. Some people might take a couple months. It just depends, right? I mean, if I go to an influencer and he's kind of a niche influencer, because he's a niche, I could see, the first video that he puts out, I could start getting some sales from it. If
Yeah.
not, it might take a couple videos with him or him doing a couple variations of the videos. So it's going to vary on that. Like I said, we were putting out videos without even having the product, but it was driving other sales. So that
Mhm.
was pretty cool, so you never know. Maybe people come over and even though they don't want your item, they end up buying a different item of yours from
Mhm.
your Amazon store or Shopify store. Who knows?
And what are some of the best practices of sending someone from YouTube and sending them straight to either your website or Amazon? What are some best practices when sending that traffic over?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways you want to do that from within YouTube. You want to make sure that you're mentioning it in your video. It's at the bottom of the screen. So you could do that a couple of ways. You could either have a bit.ly type link. You could have an Amazon affiliate link down there that maybe you're getting a little kickback off of, or maybe it's your store name, right? If you have a Shopify, it's whatever it is.com, right? And that
Mhm.
goes to your Shopify store. That's one way to do it. And I recommend doing that. You've got to have that in there. The second way is in the description. So don't bury it deep down the description. Put it towards the top, but not the very first line. So the
Mm.
very first line needs to actually be basically the same exact as your title. You're just reiterating your same title. And the reason you're doing that is because your title is SEO keyword. And when Google comes over and looks, it's going to look at the very first sentence of your description to find out what this is about. And it's going to stop somewhere around 150 to 160 characters, which is just standard SEO practices on Google. And that's
Yeah.
also what it's going to use to look for keywords to put you out on Google search. So keep that first line short, make it basically a copy of your title and with a period on the end, hit return, leave a space. Then the next line after that, you could buy this item at, or get it here, buy now, whatever you want to put, then put the link. So
Mhm.
it's there, but it's not the very first one because you don't want to mess up that SEO. Then after
Yeah.
that, the next sort of paragraph is going to be more of a description with SEO keywords in it. Kind of describing what the video is about, what the product's about. That way, if they decide they want to read further, they're going to learn more about the product and what the video is talking about. That help a little bit?
And from an action item standpoint, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like, hey, if you want to get started on YouTube, create your YouTube channel, optimize everything on the SEO side, make sure it's filled in. Second thing is create overall video of your product, and you can actually make a video for every single feature that you have.
Mhm.
And then at the side, you can also work with influencers to also upload some of that content and to start growing that YouTube channel from there. And it sounds like that's where we're at so far. And then you can
Yep.
also break up those clips of those YouTube videos you're posting and post as the shorts to eventually get them to go to the long form content. Is there any other action items that you would kind of add into that plan to basically create over time to make sure their YouTube channel is more successful? Anything you would add to those action items I talked about?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add a little bit, you gave a great summary, by the way, of
Hmm.
kind of where we're at. And that is pretty much most of the steps. Going forward from that point, I would, if you have a Shopify, I would embed or figure out how to embed those YouTube channels within that product, obviously further down the page within that
Hmm.
product. So now if they're on their Shopify store and they're looking at a product, here's the videos all about that product that they can watch. And if you can embed it, it's going to drive actually the views and the watch time over to your YouTube. So that's one thing I would do. Then just keep going. It's one of those things. I
Hmm.
think we kind of hit it right. Like we described everything. You got all the points right on what you need to do. Now
Hmm.
it's more like go out to blogs and say, hey, I got this video about this. If you would post it, or maybe write a blog article that's for them. If it's a camping site, maybe it's something really cool about camping and stoves and how they work. And then, hey, by the way, here's a video you can embed about my product that I sell. Here's, go get an affiliate link or something like that. So start
Hmm.
trying to get that video or that content out there, not
Yeah.
just on your social media channels, but on other influencers, other blog sites. Like the more it's out there, the more it's spread out, the more it's going to drive actually back to your YouTube, which will eventually drive to your Amazon or Shopify store.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear, what are some common mistakes or pitfalls that you see businesses make when either sending traffic from YouTube or by just doing YouTube in general?
They do it once, they get that YouTube channel set up, they put that first video up, and they don't do it again. And we talked about that. You
Five
actually were
years
kind of
ago.
asking it.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's very true. And also, they start relying on Fiverr or Upworks and some of these guys to do the content for them, and the content's not that good, or they're getting the guy who scribbles with the hand thing that everybody's seen 100,000 times to do a video for them. No, it's got to be unique. It's got to be unique. It's got to
Yeah.
be good content. And it's okay. I would almost rather see you only put out one video a month than put out just crap, basically. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it like that, but don't put
Yeah.
out junk, basically. Don't go to Fiverr and have somebody do a video with the guy scribbling or something like that. Put one out once a month at least. It's only 2 minutes. And plus, also remember, you're going to be able to utilize that video on social media, shorts, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. So creating one piece of content will actually help. And TikTok's driving a lot of traffic nowadays and sales.
Hmm.
But I was at an event, they were talking about TikTok. One of the people had a video, and there was this really great presenter talking about TikTok. The person went over, got that video that they had, put it up on TikTok, did some of the keyword things, and I think had a sale by the next day. And literally, it
Wow.
was only one sale, but they had a sale. And really the cost was like a few dollars, I think, to get that sale. And they already had the content. So, reutilizing content and getting sales, heck, that's the way to go, right? So, I mean,
Mhm.
what I'm talking about is YouTube, but remember what we're talking about is really your content and how to utilize it to drive external traffic to your Amazon listing. I just happen to know YouTube better than most of the different platforms, but you can definitely utilize it for all the other social media platforms to drive traffic also.
Yeah, and you have to remember, like, there's a difference between a seller and a brand. And if you're a seller, like, you're just trying to do the Amazon ads and just try to get as many sales as possible.
Yeah.
It's a losing game. China's always going to win on pricing, and eventually sellers will always die out because of China and their pricing. That's how it is. But if you're building a real brand that where people don't really care about the price, they want to buy your brand. This content is a way to communicate your authenticity. So you talked about the scribbles with the hand. That
Yeah.
is not going to be building your brand. Like, it's important to tell your brand story. Like, even if it's you talking to the camera and saying, like, guys, I'm trying to figure out the supply chain right now. This is tough. There's so many ways to connect to that. It's like, wow, he's
Absolutely.
going through a hard time right now. He's working really hard for this business. Even it's like just you literally like a 1 minute video of you talking to the camera and saying, hey, this is what I'm working on today. Like, this is hard. It's not easy. And even that is like you're building a brand that's going to eventually lead to long-term sales down the line. So just remember, like, it's a brand mindset, long-term growth, like getting more eyeballs on you and your product. And that's what you're building up.
Yeah.
It's a brand, not seller.
Yeah. Just to add two things to that, look around. You don't see any of the Amazon sellers that are from China doing videos on YouTube. right?
Yeah.
Or doing videos on TikTok or any of that sort of social media like we do. So utilize that. That'll put you one step ahead of them. And
Yeah.
like you just said, don't use the scribble stuff. That if you're going to do that, you might as well just slap your label on some, Me Too product and sell it out of China. I mean, you got to be
Yeah.
unique. The other thing that I've seen is, when people go to sell their business, companies are looking to buy the brand. They want to see, what are your social media channels? What have you been doing on them? Did you just go create the channel and you haven't posted a single thing on there? They want to see a community. And part of building that community is YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, right? Like you got to build that out, that whole social presence. If you're going to become a big brand and want to sell that brand, you're going to also probably get a better multiple by building that out over the long run. So if you're looking to build up a brand and sell it in the next couple of years, or if you have one currently and you're kind of looking to exit, maybe I would go out there and utilize all the social media, all the things we just talked about, and make sure you have a presence out there and you're building a community, because when they buy that brand, they're buying that community too. And if you have a loyal community that's buying from you, they're going to want that. And that's going to show a lot of extra, like basically multiple for your business, because that comes with it.
Yeah. And is there anything else that we talked about that's top of mind that you've been wanting to communicate? It could have been about the same topics that we have, things that you see people that are doing wrong in the content marketing space. What has been top of mind lately for you that you've been wanting to communicate?
Yeah, the thing that I probably haven't seen, everybody's talking about these AI, but there's not a lot of people actually doing it. Like we go to these events, everybody talks about all these AI, these tools and everything. And I see these sellers and I see them at the next event and I'm like, hey, that was a really cool presentation you're at. Did you take advantage of? Oh, I haven't had time, Well, you just had time to come to this event. You probably should have skipped this event, stayed home and worked on those things. It's like, because you're
Yeah.
here, you're not getting work done. You should have stayed home, maybe worked on those things. So that is one thing that I see a lot of. And don't get me wrong, I was notorious for it also, right? Like I used to go to, different events and stuff like that, hear really cool things. Really, if you go to these events, just try to mark a couple things. Look for the ones that are going to give you the biggest gain and the least amount of work, which is always nice, right? But try to find that little tidbit that you can go back and implement in a short period of time, but keep taking notes, because maybe you'll get to the rest of those items. But start with those couple. When you get back from those events, spend a little time, maybe even like come back a day early, or say, hey, this is a day I'm still at the event, but I came back to my office. I'm working on this stuff. I'm implementing some of it. Or if you have a team, make sure that team is implementing. Make sure there's SOPs and things for them to, modify those SOPs so these new things you learned are built in. So that is one thing that's kind of always irked me, is you got to take advantage of these tools and these things you're learning. You're spending all this money, so definitely implement it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. I guarantee we can go on for 7 more hours. Rob, please tell them how to find you, how to find Gatita, and everything else like that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm all over social media. It's Rob Stanley. I'm on every social media platform. So you can just head on over there, connect with me. If you have any questions you want to ask me directly, it's rob@gatita.com. And if you're interested in signing up with Gatita and learning more about refunds and reimbursements, head on over to gatita.com/Rob400. That'll give you the first $400 in FBA reimbursements for free to try us out. We are basically a performance-based company, so it doesn't cost you anything to sign up. No long-term contracts. You're not paying month to month. We're basically performance-based, which means when we get your money back for you, basically we take percentage. If we don't get you any money back, doesn't cost you a dime. We're helping with inbound warehouse issues, along with a lot of others. We have some great new tools we just implemented. So if you're already currently a customer and you haven't heard the word Dockmaster, then you need to contact Gatita and one of the people on our team to help you out, because there's probably more money sitting there that you don't even know about. So that's how you get a hold of me, and a little bit about Gatita.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob, for your time today. And thank you everyone for watching. This is the Selling on Giants, the Marketplace Show. Catch you next time. Thanks.